Yo, I haven't seen you in a little while. I have a very messy garden here I want to show you. And I never rake the leaves here, as you can see. And there's a couple of reasons for it. I mean, one reason was a couple of weeks ago I got a hip replacement. So I'm kind of limited on what I can do now. But that's not the reason anyway. I always leave the leaves. And a little later in the video, I'm going to show you the main reason why it's so important to leave the leaves. But a lot of people are just worried that, oh, if I leave the leaves, my plants aren't going to push through, you know. Look at this. These are asters. These are lance leaf asters. I'll have to show you up close. There's some heartleaf asters pushing through. Everything is pushing through. Nothing's a problem. At my garden at home, this is my hill garden in the park. My garden at home, I have like 4 or 5 inches of oak leaves, and everything's just pushing through. I did rake them a little bit, and I pile them in the back. I definitely don't give them to the town to take away. You know, that would be a disaster. They'll get composted, and all the critters that live in them would die. I don't want that. Polyphemus moth cocoon fell down in here and got covered up in the leaves and was protected all winter. But I took it home anyway now, and I'll let it hatch in my garage and I'll bring it back. You know, because laying on the ground, they're more susceptible to mice and voles, not voles necessarily, but mice to eat them up. So, okay, well, I'm going to take you around and show you. Let me just show you these asters coming up. Right through. They have no problem at all. And these are going to be beautiful. I'll probably Chelsea chop them at some point so they don't get too tall. And these are in the shade, you know, lance leaf asters, Symphyotrichum lanceolata. I'm not really sure. I'll put it in the video. But they're good in the shade. Beautiful. Little lavender flowers. White to lavender. Very nice. Okay, let's look around. Aquilegia canadensis. Canadian columbine or wild columbine. It's a really neat plant. Hummingbirds like it, early hummingbirds. Bumblebees, important bumblebees. I get golden northern bumblebees on it. It's a great plant. And as you can see, just pushed right through the leaves. I leave the leaves, I don't rake the leaves. This is Canadian ginger, or Canada ginger, Asarum canadensis. So, beautiful ground cover. This is in 100% shade. This is underneath a whole bunch of shrubs. It gets absolutely no sun. This is a great ground cover. It spreads like crazy. And here it is, the first couple days of April, and it is just pushing through all these oak leaves, beech leaves. We've got a whole bunch of maple leaves. Just pushing right through, no problem, happy as can be. And soon it'll make these little flowers, very cool looking flowers underneath. I don't know if I have a picture of them. And pollinators will find them for sure. Very cool plant. Asarum canadensis, Canadian ginger. Pushing through the leaves, not a problem. Leave the leaves. Yeah, here's Pycnanthemum mudicum, cluster mountain mint. And you can see, look at all these leaves. It could care less, you know. And this was amazing. This was 4 little cuttings a year ago. And it's really spread. It is very aggressive. And probably not good for a small garden. I don't know if you can see up here. Here's the old flower stalks from last year. They're very attractive. I like them. But it's aggressive. Now here on the hill garden, you know, it can just go as far as it wants. Although I am going to dig some of this up and donate it to another native garden that's in the works. But here you can see I left the leaves, I left all these branches. A lot of this will disintegrate. These stems may be homes for little bees and things in the summertime. I'm going to leave all them. And cluster mountain mint, no problem. Pushing up right through the leaves. While we're here, might as well look at all this Zizia Aurea, I believe. Golden Alexander. Again, coming right through the leaves. This is a wonderful plant because it's the host plant to black swallowtail butterfly. Very nice plant, hardy. You don't have to rake the leaves, it'll come right through. You see all this here? A lot of this is seedlings from heartleaf aster. Symbiotrichum cortifolium, I believe. And that's a really, really pretty aster. Blooms little tiny blue flowers, but thousands and thousands of them. Bees, butterflies, everybody absolutely loves it. And you can see all the leaves. Nobody raked leaves here. Popping right through. Okay, here's another plant that pushes right through the leaves. Could care less. These are my Mertensia virginica, Virginia bluebells. They're really beautiful. They come up early in the spring. They were up by the end of March. This was early April. They're already blooming. Pretty, pretty little flowers. Look at that. How pretty is that? And they just push right through the leaves. I think they like them, actually. It helps keep the soil moist. They do like moist soil. It's a great little plant. Not at all concerned about all the oak leaves that I did not rake up. They're very happy. Another good example of why you should leave the leaves. Okay, I'm going to show you some of the treasures that I find in my messy and not too much cut back garden. There's some really cool things, and I want to share them with you. And these are the kind of things you would have in your garden if you just leave the leaves. First one I'm going to show you is this very cool moth pupae. So he's pretty good size. He's 2 inches. He's going to make a good sized moth. So I was just cleaning up, around one of the plants, and he was underneath the leaves. So I'm going to keep him for the rest of the winter. And when he hatches out, I'll let you know what he is. I have no idea, But this one was on a stem that got blown over in the snowstorm. We had a big snowstorm, 30 inches of snow. So this pretty much looks like this was a white snake root, the plant, which is a forb. It's perennial, native. And this is a polyphemus moth cocoon on it. So I've had other videos about polyphemus moths. This is a 4 to 6 inch moth, absolutely beautiful. Normally you see them hanging from trees, and they're usually on the very tip of a branch of a tree where a predator isn't going to get it. But sometimes, this is the second time now I found it on a white snake root. It's just not something that's listed as their host plants, but apparently it is. And this guy will hatch. This is the beginning of April. He'll hatch probably the end of the month. And I'll show you some pictures of him when he comes out. They're absolutely beautiful. And there used to be a lot of them in my area of northeastern New Jersey. And now you don't find so many anymore, like everything else. They're declining. Their host plants are declining. They like mostly hardwood trees, oaks, maples, birches. They love birches. In my garden, I have 3 amelanchier trees, and I usually get a cocoon or 2 on the amelanchier tree. So they do like that. But this was on a stem, and it was laying on the ground, and probably the mice or somebody would have chewed into it. So I decided to take it home, and I'll hatch it out here, and then I'll bring it back in the spring. I do have a few others that are on the trees. They should be okay. But this is what you can find in your messy garden. You know what else I found that's very cool? I found 2 of these. These are the egg sacs of a yellow garden spider. So that's a big spider, with its legs that are 2.5 to 3 inches long, and they're beautiful. I'm going to show you a picture in the video. And again, this is something that I have not seen in the whole park system that I volunteer at. I've seen 1 in the last 10 or 15 years. There used to be a lot when I was a kid, which was a long time ago, obviously. But In my garden at the park, my messy garden where the stems are up, I saw two large spiders this past fall, and they disappeared, but they both left these egg sacs. So I collected them, and again, when these little baby spiders hatch, I'm going to release them all back in the garden. So I think that's kind of fun. The other thing that I found, again, it was on a stem of I think a goldenrod, but it had fallen down, and this is the egg sac of a Carolina mantis. So the Carolina mantis is a native mantis, a praying mantis, much smaller than the large praying mantis we often see in the garden, which are invasive, and they outcompete and they eat our native Carolina mantis. So this Carolina mantis, uh, about 2.5 inches long. I don't think they get to 3 inches long. Cute little thing, brown. I believe it's our only native mantis along on the eastern part of the United States. I know I read that they go as far in as Indiana, so they're not right along the coast. And it's an important natural predator, and they are definitely being outcompeted by these big European and Asian mantis. People buy the egg sacs in the garden center. Don't buy those. You know, that's you're just spreading an invasive species. So it's very cool that I can find some Carolina mantis egg cases in the garden. And one of the Amelanchier trees, there's another case that should be safe, I hope, from predators. But this one was down on the ground, so I collected it. And the other thing I'm going to show you is I do have a few that I saved, but there's quite a few on the goldenrod. The goldenrod gall fly. There are galls from the goldenrod gall fly. See if I get that right. And I'll show you those. And that's a very cool little fly, very pretty. And it's a native insect. And it's an important food source, especially for downy woodpeckers. You know, they feed on them in the winter when it's hard for them to find grubs. They can get into these galls, and there's a nice big fat grub inside. So that's another thing. If I had cut the stems down in the late fall, well, probably they wouldn't have survived the winter, and we'd lose that whole generation of gall flies. So it's a good idea to leave the leaves and leave the stems, and we're going to take a look at the gall flies. And to me, these things are treasures. That's why, I say I have treasures in my garden. And there's other things too. I'll find all kinds of little critters under the leaves when I'm working around the plants and pulling out weeds and things. So it's very cool. When you find something, go on iNaturalist, try to find out what it is. Um, learn something new. You want to learn something new every day if you can. Okay, I will see you on the next one.